Fake statements from the authorities are about the fact that there is depopulation there or is decreasing or has begun to increase. This is, of course, it's a lie because they don't say that this is only happening because that, firstly, there are more migrants who are issued passports only because also that the southern regions where sobriety like Dagestan, their Chechnya, well, in general I mean the sobriety of the majority of people as a norm of life, and there is a huge the birth of children, then due to the increase this population is leveled terrible depopulation of all Russians regions, all Russian, namely ethnically Russian people. Yes. So accordingly, here is Vologda. The regions took it very strongly, and about this it's worth making a video. I recently Vladimir Georgievich Zhdanov spoke. He was invited there. He is an advisor governor. Now the governor is doing a great job Vologda region because it is a patriotic man who is not afraid. I started a very strong business, namely about propaganda of sobriety and its restriction sales. And even these small first steps, the measures have already brought enormous results. I can imagine how much squealing there will be haters. By the way, that's why you can immediately understand what kind of person he is represents, whether he is an enemy or not. Which there will be alcohol somewhere in the funds. Any mass media journalists or politicians there will be to look for something bad in this, to find it, slander as they did with anti-alcohol regulations 85 there. Although there was no prohibition, so there is no need. He was in the 14th year and was in effect until 24th year when was born that generation which won the war. The strongest, the most powerful spiritual and moral people have this in view. And, by the way, the fact that even Gorbachev Judas, who sold the country, was forced to lead an anti-alcohol campaign, provisions, restrictions on sales, etc. Then about 10 million extra 8 million additional children were born. Statistics, that is, there has been an increase sober who are the last hope that it's called Russia. Well, that's how it is. Izdan Vladimir Geroevich, who is currently the chairman of the Union the Struggle for National Sobriety, and earlier there was Uglov, a great scientist, academician, a surgeon who lived, well, practically 104 years old, teetotal. So, Vladimir Georgievich now leads the movement sobriety. And here he is, what? Right hand for health, here anti-alcohol policy. I said recently with him. That's it, I invite him in Pskov region. I want to go with ours too, governor, so to speak, here, introduce, maybe, in Pskov areas to do what they do well made in Vologda. I want a video with him write about it, about the achievements, and so that you could see it and show it to others, because on TV there are some fragments, nothing at all. Well, that's how it is, it's always clear. When you even remember there were, Putin personally said, well, what because his confessor is this one Tikhon who was a metropolitan Pskov, he was appointed and now transferred to Crimea, so here it is. When I saw Zdany's lecture from 2004 year, which was called Alcoholic Tobacco, Drug Terrorism Against Holy Rus, certainly each of you watch this video. This is at 2004 in very poor quality, for it's been an hour. This is nothing like that. And his other lectures later were not the same, they have powers. Be sure to check it out. And after that, well, if this is a test for conscience, patriotism, if after this, when a person is alone watch this video alone, will still consume alcohol, then it's easy to call him a man, well, it's just not possible objectively. Why? Feel it yourself. Just look alone with myself this video in full at one time. This will be easy to do. I watched it myself once. I am a person who I have never consumed a single gram in my life alcohol, didn't sleep at night. Then thousands they started printing discs. Then it was more discs handed out to people for free. I talked to anyone there about any topic. I met him, definitely this one. Huge number of people personally convinced. That has opened my eyes to the fact that this is really the case. Everything is simply on the surface of truth. And what, who drinks alcohol after of all this understanding? That man Judas, a traitor to his people, he makes a contribution in the matter of destroying his people, future children, generations. And precisely because for this reason, when people start here to understand this, to realize that this is exactly so, if the question is correctly posed so, they stop using even those alcoholics who couldn't be helped to penetrate neither by coding nor by means understanding that they are in charge of their health. They destroy it because it is for our people. Your health is far from the most important thing. But this is exactly how people can be saved and introduce sobriety as a norm of life. What it really is on a massive scale, it's just to speak this patriotic truth to what does your alcohol consumption lead to in society, and this very lecture of his Zdanova from 2004 is like nothing better planet in the world and shows and explains this to people from the heart, from mind to mind, from heart to heart, that a person stops watching to use, well, practically, that is most people in general look necessarily. Well, what I'm saying is this, the letter is like this. Nickname Nerling. I am with you, I agree, but I'll still drink. A little, not often, not for fun. It's normal, right? A sip of vodka or wine as if sometimes it were so obvious. Or tinctures on alcohol like Corvalolo or Propolis. Well, then it's completely complete. Nonsense. I'll sort this out for now. Can you imagine? I mean, well, no, well honestly, that's already good. But that means, what is that for? Well, as you can see from here is with the fake and what itself is not the knitting needles but put on some music or a complex discussion for I almost give you 100% now recipe. What if you put some, for example, video, yes. Conditionally with a complex discussion that I don't have the brains for, it is difficult to understand, a person just as if under hypnosis he falls asleep. Well, that's it, I gave you examples of how to fall asleep. I had a video about this, by the way, one or several. Well, I'll even put an assistant on the link too, let's leave it. There I give examples of how naturally, normally, without harm to health, without abuse over common sense, reason and psyche you can fall asleep normally and quickly. There were such videos, I'll leave them in general. But if a person seeks, wants, he seeks, and seeks will always find. The reason is right there other. Just an alcoholic. Here. Well, by the way, an alcoholic is not someone who lies around and puddle from which it flows. What are you talking about? An alcoholic is someone who represents have a holiday without a bottle on the table. Here this person is an alcoholic. That which further about degradation, this is already too, well, human, so say, to some properties in general has nothing to do with it. Okay, let's move on. Here. Well, in general it's clear. And here it is, they are cheaper after all. These Corval tinctures are more economical than in that including your products. This is how she treated me, so she decided to tease me that I have expensive products and so on. Yes, by the way, about the products. Okay. Well, what can I tell her about this? Well, rat poison, for example, is cheaper than cocoa powder, for example, right? Especially bioorganic, which naturally more expensive than inorganic, cheap, grown on chemicals. Everything has its own cause and effect relationships. Clear the rationale for why something is cheaper and something more expensive. Well, if it's objective, well, here the matter is something else. I got confused, lady, something I don't sell. Well, my dear friends, you can see my website nadgar.ru and see that I don't sell sleeping pills and fun stuff there or something else same. That is everything she described as in such a negative, so in a positive way. I'm just like that, I'm not selling anything. What are these for? Inadequate comparisons? What does it mean? Like they are still cheaper and more economical, but if I were selling something for sleep and this it would be expensive, then yes, of course, it would be possible to compare. It could have been steering wheel. I gave an example, an argument, why is this anyway? But it doesn't matter, yeah. Well, at least it would be possible to really say that this is more expensive. Well, that's me, there's no point. This is a protest from anger. Stupid people that she doesn't like that what kind of goods cost me, how much does it cost her, it seems expensive. But then that's nonsense. This is a protest out of stupidity, after all. Inadequate. See what's wrong with people? Is happening? By the way, it's mostly the fault of parts here are just alcohol because it destroys the brain first of all. The first brain, then, is thinking human, right? This is the most important one trouble. At least for this reason people must refuse. There are thousands of them reasons, but this is one of them, yes. By the way, let me help you right now, I'll put up my own little advertisement. Do you know why? No, well, of course, that means more the number of people would want and buy these are my products. But for what purpose? What for self-enrichment? There's just some kind of goal. The association of people is already sick often. But actually I do very big things. Some people know and I don't spend any money on myself at all. So here are some of my things very high which was appreciated by those who different people saw it, well, like the highest achievement more than 100 years no one has done this did. You will find out about it soon. Here for why do I need money? As for that's not the point. You buy something, I'm amazed too, yes, sick associations. To me, everything is clear, advertising. Wait a second. Also, by the way, about intelligence. Oh, and you don't advertise anywhere. You see. Okay, don't watch TV and on the internet and somewhere from someone I found out this is all advertising of one kind or another. And if you buy something you mean what you are an accomplice to this, so to speak, advertising desires of producers or sellers. Well, of course, you already are a weapon, a screw, well, so what do you care? Disgusting. Why do you have it then? The right to shout advertising at someone there and be outraged by this? What if this is an advertisement? Something useful, just listen. What, for example, although I have more than 500 goods that are very important, necessary for health. Do you know how many letters there are? I have a lot of videos about this, like my products saved people's lives and even treated cancer and other things. Listen to this little one: honest, direct, open, without backup dancers, without and so on, honest, direct advertising from mind to mind. Dear comrades, a little advertisement for my products, not someone else's, my honest advertising. If you want to be healthy and live long, then first of all, watch all my videos on this channel and subscribe to it till you received notifications about the release of new video. Don't miss them. And secondly, buy our products, the best products, vitamins and other nutrients, so necessary for every person these days for health, because you don't need food, get everything we need with you, since the soil is poor. There are chemicals all around and there is a nutritional deficiency now, all people, and some already have diseases. That is why our dietary supplements and other drugs, health devices, programs and treatment methods will help you find energy, health, live longer and better quality. I would especially like to recommend unique drugs. Soviet scientist, Professor Isaev, who could revolutionize medicine if the Soviet Union had not destroyed. For example, there is a drug which removes radiation from the body or which restores the nervous system. Now its production I have to pull it on myself without any help, subsidies and assistance. He had to restore, essentially from scratch. Because let's support each other. From us to you health, from you we receive support from our projects with your purchases. Attention, our products are not sold in garbage dumps, marketplaces. My video about marketplaces, so you understand what it's about, speech, I'll leave it under this video link. And buy our products, any can only be done through our website nadgar.ru, or otherwise it is called Products from Frolova. Go to the catalog and take a look everything that we have. We will send yours order to any point in Russia, any country, peace. We are waiting for your orders. So I still highly recommend it to you. Buy something on our website, friend to a friend. Indeed, let's do it, great benefit. Here it is, health is a thing after all, it's easy to lose, but easy to gain, very difficult. Very difficult. And here's the thing, at least the professor's preparations, Isaev, who miraculously managed to be saved, and these are the productions, as it were, restore, and not only that. No, I can talk about everything. You see ours for yourself. By the way, there are drugs, for example, an analog of statins. A complete analog, but harmless, which does not have those side effects that statin. I had a video about this too. This is just what I am like now, remembered. What I have exactly, hundreds of products without any involvement, which are vitally needed by the people who will solve them problems, but safe for the body way. But everything costs money, sorry, of course, something, and compare something more expensive or cheaper. Is it possible that if not property, the result will be the same, and it won't be the same, so already can't be compared. And you can compare, for example, when there is harm or harmlessness to the body, side effects, the effects are negative or not, then this can be compared. And if from some there are harmful side effects, negative ones, there are no other products, so what? It may be incorrect to compare this. About the price. How many people? There are still fools in general. I see the main task as being more likely just a fight against stupidity, human, with ignorance. And also I see my mission, task, struggle for intelligence, for saving intelligence. Let's talk some more. Alexei Georgievich is like, hello, no, I agree. I don't agree. Alcohol, there are two properties, can you imagine? If I had written two more positive ones, properties, or just two, or here are two that I can remember, he has two properties. I'll bring others now. There are two properties. He has anti-shock action and painkiller. If you're somewhere on a special operation, war, as it really was during the times the Great Patriotic War was not enough, and that means painkillers. Then it was necessary when they sawed it off legs, their arms, that's it, so to speak. Torture, terrible pain, of course, we drank alcohol without anesthesia. And you know what? Interesting? I don't remember the exact one now, ramming. Up to what amount of grams per kilogram of body weight pain can you feel it? What gramovka when such an anesthetic effect really does occur, a condition where pain is not felt and they cut it and there was no pain. But if you go over this dose a little, then a person just died. And therefore, even during the Great Patriotic War was abandoned from alcohol for this movies somewhere they show, but all this, in short, doctors refused to give this dose, we couldn't catch the exact one, and in small ones it's useless. Yes, sometimes they gave it like that, so that a purely moral person, because many have this sick, there is also an association, so it's purely like that they gave it to me, it would be easier, morally. Got it, right? That's what I hope. Well, I am addressing this person, the people. So don't talk nonsense about pain relief. Carrie. That is, it exists, but to achieve it this is nonsense. And the alcohol is strong natural antidepressant. This idiocy has started again. Words of a neurologist professor. Does this professor use? Well, of course yes. Well, of course yes. That's why he will to look for some kind of nonsense that he will justify himself in his own eyes, his own and his patients. Amar Khayyam loves to cite him as an example. Alcoholic statements imposed on wine is prohibited due to the ignorance of brides. Well, there are others similar to it. Alcoholic statements. What is on the wine guilt? Because the fool drinks it. No, I blame this fool Marhayam. I answer, what kind of poet or thinker would he be? Well, if he is a fool as a thinker because he couldn't think of it before, that you still need to overcome your own desire to drink and understand what it brings. Wine, well, ethyl alcohol located in it for a person. What is the fault? Guilt he cannot understand. Well, in that after the libation one kills the other, betrays another, goes under himself, what it's called. From human to animal you can't even, so to speak, touch an animal. They don't get drunk unless, of course, they don't pour, or we won't bring it. There's some idiotic examples because it's like nature. In nature, naturally no. Well, that's why you can't do that. Insult animals. At some point the satanic creation transforms. Haven't you seen it? No. When the faces distorts, when delirium begins carry, when here and the measure of the drug, well, let's not go back to everything to the same thing. Millions of people knowing the measures do not know. Yes, theoretically they know that it exists. They keep repeating about measure, but I know my measure. That's how it is, you understand? And then do you understand what nonsense you are talking? No, maybe. Well, then this idiot writes, red wine contains resveratrol and it has a positive effect on the heart, really. I even have a video about this. And by the way, about resveratrol. Here is about the special form and resveratrol concentrate. Here I am asking assistant to put the video and link under. I'll leave you a video both on the video and on this one. The product is unique per resveratrol. This he said it right. I can even add that there is in red wine a small amount of pycnogenol, such grapeseed extract, so, roughly speaking, which strengthens, makes elastic vessels. That is how good it is. Truth? So what? So pour it and drink. But this is only for a fool, because what a smart person understands. But there is something negative in this liquid that is hundreds once outweighs the benefit of something. That is, there is something useful, but there is also something harmful, of course spirit of wine or ethyl alcohol differently. And drowned, in other words, all synonyms are there. Which means it doesn't matter that there is something positive there, because the face will blur, because someone will stab someone, because someone will throw out a child from somewhere floors, someone will add and so on, no someone will steal and so on. Yes, that's it. Because of wine, including because of wine, well, and any other alcoholic drink, so to speak, anti-drink. It goes further. In a different way, I can't name this person. Writes, it's only a question of dosage. Well, let's go then, a little heroin. Well, that's why that it's all a matter of dosage. Many heroin is bad, right? Well, why not? Let's say it's probably obvious, right? Although soon, because the windows are so twisted, the thing works quickly. But for some it's not obvious anymore. He's there in progressive Europe is driving as they legalize. In some of the most liberal states in the US, some are legalizing drugs for now light. They want to displace them heavy. Although it is precisely statistics that just common sense without any statistics suggest that it will be sell more of both light and heavy ones, and everything will fly into the abyss. Well, now fentanyl or whatever, there are millions lying there, Americans are lying around, so to speak, and well, China is doing its job. Then he uses words when he has no brains of his own. Authorities are needed. Paracelsus, everything is poison and all the medicine. Yes, but he probably doesn't. I was talking about booze. Well, I hope so. Because if yes, then some doctor. That and the other is determined by the dose. Yes. And I am a doctor, he writes. That's how they caught him. Yes, by the way, yes, with 38 years of experience work. And if the doctor recommends or advertises with his life, or even more so just like that, as some wrote above, if he is in favor of alcohol, then this is professional incompetence. And absolutely the academician was right here, 2 corners. Well, I guess it's still a doctor. A different level than this one. That's the point, not in this. And Pavlov spoke about this, that no decent scientist, no the word of defense of alcohol will not say anything. He was offered mountains of gold so that he did it, but he didn't do it, an honest, decent person. Well, and this one without conscience, alcoholic. Well, and otherwise how? Naturally, he is an alcoholic, which means naturally he defends the wine and writes all sorts of nonsense, citing idiotic example statements of one or another famous people, or issues over current, or makes useless associations like Paracelsus, all poison and medicine, alcohol. Yeah, well, let's do it this way. Cadverin, there is nil acid, and so on. Let's eat cyanides. Let's eat them. Here. Well, then the main thing is that he wrote here because I wrote it. I was very offended by this. Apparently, it's true what I said there, that this is alcohol. After such critical statements, I began to doubt the veracity of other videos. No longer subscribed, but I'm very glad that one, there are fewer idiots on my channel, if this is true. But that means it's about friend, that this person is a complete idiot, because a normal person never will say that if, well, listen, the person listened to my videos, listen argumentation, I understood that I was right. Well, he was glad that, so to speak, I helped maybe to realize something in something, comprehend. So, this is what we have here. The similarity was probably in some way. And here suddenly, just on the basis that he didn't like it to the depths of his soul, that's exactly the truth, because he didn't provide any arguments refuting my words, which means I tear off his glasses and insult those who, because sometimes it's the only one way, like here is the shock method therapy for sleeping brains with a batten head differently. Not at all for some people, for a certain category, not get through. I'm doing